Snetterton in Norfolk welcomes the Avon Tyres Caterham 7 420R Championship, the top rung on the Caterham Motorsport ladder. After two races at Alton Park last time out, things could barely be closer. David Henderson leads John Byrne by a single point, but with the top six covered by just over 20 points, it's still wide open at this stage. Well, it's Aaron Head who has the pole position for our opening race of the weekend here at a sunny Snetterton. Alongside him, though, will be fellow championship contender Timothy Dickens. For Aaron Head, though, well, he is fifth place in the points, but 18 points off the championship leader David Henderson, who starts third. So a good opportunity this may be for Head to take some points out of him and close in on the top of the points table. Red lights on then, we're about to go racing here at Snetterton. Away they go. Aaron Head makes a good start from pole position. Looks to try and hold on to the race lead on the charge towards the first corner. Tim Dickens, though, going wheel to wheel with him. And here comes Will Smith from the outside of row number 2 into third position as they sweep into Rich's corner for the first time. Rich Ainscough will be starting at the back of the grid, by the way, with a 10-second penalty, having been disqualified from the qualifying results earlier on today. Sideways action for several cars into the hairpin. Number 45, Chris Bates, is off the road completely, and it looked like Sir Chris Hoy was involved in all of that as well, and did well to avoid a similar fate to that of Chris Bates, who does now bounce his way back on, but has lost an awful lot of ground in the early stages. Down the hill then into Agostini. Will Smith's into second position now, then ahead of David Henderson. So Tim Dickens appears to have slipped down the order slightly. There further back is number 23 working his way through, and that is Justin Armstrong. Also in this race, by the way, is Jay McCormack, who we've seen out racing already in the 270Rs this weekend to some success, and he's also out in the 420Rs too, running solidly inside the midfield. This is, as I said earlier on, the top tier of the Caterham Motorsport ladder, so the most powerful cars that you can race here this weekend at Snetterton. Racing, though, is just as close as we see across all of the Caterham Motorsport categories. We're expecting another really great slipstreaming duel at the front, which is exactly what we're being treated to in the opening stages here. Will Smith uses that slipstream to perfect advantage and goes into the race lead down the Bentley Straight, ahead of Aaron Head then, who is second. Third place looks to be David Henderson, and fourth position for the blue car of Henry Heaton, with Tim Dickens, I think, down to fifth, having started on the outside of row number 1. Here's a replay of what happened down at the hairpin. Sideways moment for Chris Hoy, the green number 7 car, and then around, at least halfway around, goes Chris Bates. Don't think there was any contact there, just ran a bit wide and ended up on the dirty side of the road, pointing the wrong way. Race leaders then through Brundle and Nelson, and Aaron Head's on the grass and sideways, but actually surprisingly didn't lose too much momentum. David Henderson did, though, and loses 2 positions. Through there have gone Tim Dickens and Henry Heaton, so Dickens started to fight back towards the front as well. Corner, 77 is Rob Watts, number 47 is Alex Querberly, and they're going to be side by side as they go into Murray's corner as well. The 2 red cars in the background. Aaron Head on the grass again as they come out of Murray's. Been a scrappy opening couple of laps here for the race leader, but Aaron Head is no longer there. That's Will Smith leading the way. Has Aaron Head gone off as he pulled into the pit lane? Something has happened though, and yes, there he is on the left hand side of the screen. In the pit lane is Aaron Head as Tim Dickens takes the race lead. So it's all changed coming out of the final corner. We saw Aaron Head bouncing onto the grass. I wonder whether he's had a mechanical issue, and whether or not that was cause or effect of that bouncy moment across the grass awaits to be seen. Either way, he's out of the running surely now for a really good result. Let's hope that he can get the car fixed and get it back on its way. Down towards Palmer's then, Tim Dickens, the black car, now out in front with Will Smith second, and third position for David Henderson. A little bit detached from the leading 2 as they run down the hill into the braking zone at Agostini again. William Smith has shown he's got the pace to get out in front, but it's so difficult here at Snetterton to stay in front because of the slipstream, the high-speed nature of the circuit. Now there's Aaron Head going back onto the circuit. He's only lost about 30 seconds or so, I reckon, to the race leaders. But whatever the issue was, it would appear at least that they've got it fixed and he's back on his way. So that's good news in that he's back on track. Bad news, though, in that it's dropped him well out of the lead pack of cars. There's Matthew Higginson, who we saw battling away plenty at Alton Park last time out, the disc lock liveried car. As at the head of the field, we have already our umpteenth lead change between William Smith and Tim Dickens, with Smith now back ahead as they drop down the gears through Brundle and Nelson. Car there parked at the side of the road, unfortunately appeared to be John Byrne actually. So John Byrne, second place in the championship coming into this race, and John Byrne was only a solitary point behind David Henderson, and Henderson's not having his best race for the year either, so he what was already a very finely poised championship table. It looks as though things are going to get a real shake-up here at Snetterton. William Smith, the race leader, for example, not even in the top 5 in the points, and could really do with a race win here to catapult himself back into championship contention. He leads the way then down into the first corner. Tim Dickens second, David Henderson the points leader third. So as things stand, it will be very, very close between Dickens and Henderson, because Dickens is only 5 points behind David coming into this weekend. There, by the way, is the recovering Aaron Head, who we also must not count out of the championship equation, and he is starting now to really regain positions after that pit lane visit earlier on. And Higginson there continuing to battle away in this group that's being headed by the number 77 car of Rob Watts. 23 is in the mix as well, and that is Justin Armstrong, as at the head of the field it's a 2, 4, 6 car battle just about for the lead of the race, with William Smith just about managing to hang on to the lead for the time being. Keeping a watch further back for Aaron Head. There he is, Aaron Head locking up into Agostini. Now we're hearing from the pit lane that he pitted because he thought he had a fluid leak from the car. He saw on the grid that there was some fluid on the road, thought it was coming from his car. Turns out that it wasn't, so it was actually a completely unnecessary pit lane visit. But I suppose it's better to be safe than sorry, especially on a hot day like this. If there is a risk of the car overheating, that could do significant damage. So it was a cautious approach. He decided to pit just in case. Turns out, though, he may as well have stayed out on the circuit. He will no doubt be kicking himself now inside that car at the lost possibility of a race victory here. Meanwhile, at the head of the pack, it has all changed around again. Look, Will Smith was leading last time we saw him. He's now 4th, maybe even 5th, because Tom Eden there, the yellow number 64 car, is trying to dive up the inside of the bomb hole. That's a brave place to run wheel to wheel. They did it, and they avoided contact, but Eden had to back out of the potential move. Meanwhile, where is Aaron Head? There is Aaron Head, about to drive around the outside if he can of Justin Armstrong. In fact, dives to the inside at Caterham and will go through. That was a fairly easy move at the end, but the further up the order he gets, the harder the overtakes will become. Down to Riches again, and Will Smith back in front now. We'll hit second place for David Henderson. It's changing almost by the corner, this lead battle. Further back, there's also a move being made there at the inside line for Richard Ainscough from the back of the grid. Aaron Head turns through the right-hander, gaining more ground as well. How high up the order, I wonder, can he get? Is a top 10 going to be doable here in this first race? It seemed unlikely when he was in the pit lane early on, but he's got really good speed and is racing his way through the pack like the proverbial hot knife through butter. There's Doug Thane that he's overtaking, the number 73 car. And just in front, Chris Bates, number 45, the next victim. As Aaron Head is putting on a masterful charge here. Replay at the start. There's Aaron, creeping a bit from the line. It was a good start. Held on to the race lead, but sadly would not do so for much longer. Right then, into the closing stages now. We're on the final lap here at Snetterton, and remarkably, Aaron Head has caught the lead group of cars. He could yet get himself into the top 5 before the end of this race. William Smith is leading the way there, the orange number 27 car. Tim Dickens is right behind him, though, in the black number 44, harrying him as they go into the right-hander at Oggies. And Henry Heaton, the blue number 10 car, is in 3rd place, with points leader David Henderson down in 4th. That is almost certainly not going to be the order in which they finish, though, because we're about to go on to the Bentley Straight for the final time, and this is slipstreaming central. The crocodile weaves to the right, it'll weave back to the left again as William Smith tries to break the toe, but Timothy Dickens is coming right around the outside and into the lead of the race, and Henry Heaton follows him through as well. There was nothing Will Smith could do there. I think he knew that he was in the wrong position, but having got the race lead, there was nothing he could do about it. And there was equally nothing he could do to keep them behind. Aaron Head, meanwhile, has worked his way into 5th position, but Timothy Dickens is out in front. 3rd place in the championship going into this race, 5 points off the points lead, and David Henderson, the points leader, is only 4th. So by my rough mathematics, this is all looking very good for Tim Dickens if he doesn't lose the rear of the car through the final corner. Can he hang on to the flag? It's a long way between the final corner and the start-finish line, but it looks as though Tim Dickens will just about do it and win the opening race of the weekend here at Snetterton in what was a real dogfight between the leading half dozen or so cars. Henry Heaton comes home second, and Aaron Head, remarkably from the pit lane, recovers to 5th position. David Henderson was 4th, still scoring valuable championship points, with Will Smith and Henry Heaton on the podium behind the race winner, Tim Dickens.
Yeah, it was all about the toe down the back straight. Will had me, and I managed to get a fairly good exit, so I was able to get him into the last corner before the end of the last lap. But yeah, it could have been anyone's, and it was great to be on the top 3 steps with the 2013 Academy boys, so it's great.
I don't know where that last lap came from. You're not wrong. It was very, very hot out there. Probably the hottest race I've ever raced in. But best ever result in the 420R. So I've got to be happy with that. And yeah, the last lap was fantastic. I think I came from 5th or 6th, stuck it down the outside of the hairpin, and then got a good toe in the back straight and brought it home in 2nd. So yeah, bodes well for tomorrow. And like I said, best ever result in the 420. So really chuffed.
Well, it was an equally hectic second race of the weekend, won eventually by Will Smith, but it's Tim Dickens that leaves Snetterton just 1 point ahead of David Henderson. This is a battle that will go right to the wire. Well, fabulous racing here at Snetterton in Norfolk from all of the Caterham Championships. Be sure to join us next time at Spa for more of the same.